Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dana Limreeses, and as you can see, I am an absolute nobody. But one very large difference. You see, going forward, this hourglass will really guide me in a fashion that is not only more, but oh, by the way, you might notice that I shaved. I am not a Dustin Hoffman transsexual. I understand I'm Jewish. I understand that I do not exude the masculine look, right? What is it, the manosphere, Jamie?
Yes, the manosphere.
I am not a part of the manosphere. I am just a man. I understand that right now in today's society things are a little confusing, so I thought that there would be, how do I say this? I'm constantly accused of being a person who puts a positive spin on things. Positive spin, right? Air quotes.
You do.
But in reality, who doesn't want to have a positive spin? So for example, we have an arbitrary gag order that looms over you and me, correct?
Yes.
Now, this gag order might seem like a bad thing, but in reality, by having this in place, it really streamlines the content and avoids all the things that I really want to avoid. So in reality, it's not a bad thing, because my goal behind all of this is just to be with my kids. That's all I fucking want, okay? I understand that this is a concept that is beyond the grasp of the majority of the public.
Yeah. How dare you want to be with your children?
I totally get it. But I also want to remind everyone that in order for me not to be reunited with my children, there needs to be a set of circumstances that is impossible to happen. For example, I am currently being accused of a bunch of things that never happened. And all I need to do is just not do anything in line with these accusations, which means that I don't have any thoughts to hurt anyone. No. So I don't have anything to worry about. So I don't have the overarching, like for example, let's say that you and I are driving, Miss Wrestling, okay?
Okay.
God forbid something happens to you.
Yeah.
You were in an accident, you're no longer on this earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna go and break into a place that I'm not supposed to be at, nor am I gonna be out of character for a human being, meaning that I'm not interested in a set of circumstances that will display a characteristic that doesn't exist, which means that you are being accused of something that's not true. Yes or no?
Yes.
I am being accused of something that's not true. Yes or no?
Yes.
If for some reason you are removed from my life,
mm-hmm.
and I voluntarily do something to support this claim, it would be true that you are the reason why there was an issue.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So unless I invent or actually do something that is in line with an imaginary story, I don't have anything to worry about. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? Meaning that I understand it's a little confusing, and that's why we're going to keep this at 15 minutes intervals, and that will allow me to streamline my thought process. So instead of having 3.5 hours of content, I just want everyone to understand that I didn't invent firewood. What I invented is a standardized process of recycling the most heavily recycled and overused pieces of cardboard to standardize an industry, which was not standardized prior to my involvement in the industry. I also automated it. I also used the sub-industries such as tree services in order to show that the utilization of businesses that create paradoxes for landowners to create lumber yards no longer need to exist once the dichotomy surpasses the need for people to exploit the majority of the American public's lack of knowledge in the cost of a product. Firewood is essentially free. The reason for that is because the industry of chopping trees down surpasses the need for raw firewood. That can be proven by the concept of mulch. If firewood was needed more than mulch, there would be an increase in the price of mulch. But mulch is a byproduct of all the firewood that's not used. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Essentially, the reason why I'm saying all of this is because I could speak literally blue in the face. But until a human being sees for themselves that something is worth more than it is, they will never believe it. The issue with what I am trying to do is that no matter what I do, no matter what I set my goals on, somebody goes and copies me, steals the idea, and tries to replicate it, pretend like it's their own.
That's true. I've seen it done to you.
That is not only painful, it's illegal
Yeah.
and highly immoral as a human being, which means that you may or may not be breaking any laws. I'm not in law enforcement, nor am I here to pass judgment. But as a crime of moral turpitude, when found liable for taking another human being's ideas, it creates a very large dark cloud. For example, Hot Loops. You remember Hot Loops?
I do.
Mal gave me the idea. She explained it to me. I didn't know what it was. And I executed by purchasing and negotiating for a significant amount hotloops.com. Remember?
I do.
I currently own hotloops.com.
Yeah.
But it would be really fucked up if you and I launched Hot Loops and cut Mal out where
Yeah.
I didn't have any knowledge of Hot Loops without her. You understand? So to me, a gag order can only exist when it's enforceable and has a legitimate claim that it doesn't violate the First Amendment right to freedom of speech in context to the reality of what's going on, which means that
Okay.
if I'm not saying anything bad, I'm not saying anything harassing, I'm not saying anything derogatory, the enforcement of a gag order would be illegal in itself. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Meaning that a human being can go crazy if they're not able to talk about a certain subject. In reality, if you don't understand that in order to watch this content, you have to go out of your way to watch it,
Right.
then it is very dangerous. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense.
Awesome. Thank God.
Phew.
We have a bunch of time.
I know.
Is there anything you want to quickly discuss as far as subjects? This is an open forum. There's no wrong answer. We played tennis yesterday.
We did. It was great.
I think that it is very important for everyone to really understand that I have extremely sensitive amount of time. Like time is of the essence in this
Yes,
project,
yes.
and what I'm working on right now is I need to generate a streamline of consistent income. So the fastest path is a straight line. So what I'm trying to do is open up Drake's
I know,
barbecue
this weather.
on a very limited scale. And April 8th, I've carved it out for my son's birthday, and all I'm looking for is I will be in a place where miniature ponies roam, because it's like a hospital for miniature ponies. You know why, right? Because they have sore throats. You don't know why?
No, why?
Because the miniature ponies are a little hoarse.
That's cute.
So they need to go to a miniature hospital.
It's perfect.
So there's only one place. I'm going to chill out there. I'm going to figure out the time, and I'll make another video and say, hey, I'm going to be right here. I'm going to be just chilling, nonviolent, doing my thing. And I hope that, my son, whose birthday it is, can see me. And I'm not going to communicate through any lawyers. I'm not interested. I didn't sign up for it. I didn't sign up to communicate through attorneys. The entire process is extremely sadistic towards me, who is a human being and is completely forgotten in this process. It is highly illegal and immoral and unethical to raise a family and then have it ripped from you. And the people that are responsible for it, you're not going to be able to get away with something like this. And it is not a joking matter, but my relationship with my son is so heavily affected that there is no money or time that you'll ever be able to make up for what you have done. Does that make any sense?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So when it comes to the reality, I'm never going to hurt a single person. That's not a veiled threat or anything like that. No. But I will express to everyone that when it comes to communication standards, I am not a human being that you should cross paths with in the context of you had something to do with the alienation and the kidnapping of his children. And the reason for that is because I'm extremely honest. I have a certain particular set of skills that I've honed in and perfected over a career of doing things on behalf of people that are bullied and are hurt. So if it comes to my children, and especially Miss Resnick's children, who are not my children, I do not see them as human beings that I'm responsible for in any context whatsoever. But I do see Miss Resnick as a human being that is a victim of bullying, unlawful alienation from her children, and extreme human torture. And that action is not tolerable on a federal level. And not only is it not tolerable, I will make an example of the individuals who do not believe that their lack of awareness is plausible in the form of negligence, which that means that the police department and the law enforcement entities that are responsible for the funding of the police department, and I say law enforcement because if you're paying for a gun and a badge, you're a part of the gun and the badge. So within the context of the shitty politics structure of this shitty ass fucking town, there are human beings that are actually responsible for supporting domestic violence. And those human beings are the ones that need to be held accountable, responsible, and face the ramifications of their actions. And if they don't, then it is not at all my or anyone on a federal level's responsibility at the end result of what will happen if you maintain the current structure, which means that you are absolutely guaranteed for destruction because you have chosen to lead, to select your leaders based on safety illusions, not in reality. In reality, the police department as well as the political structure, Ed Meinhardt and the chief, they have supported domestic violence. That is the truth. They have supported kidnapping. They have supported unlawful arrests. They have completely supported all of this stuff. Do you understand?
Unfortunately, I do. And the sad part is you just have two things that you want. You want to see your boys, and you want to start your life. Revenge and all these things that people think are just not even on the list. And if they're thinking about it, it's because they did something wrong.
Or they're the ones that are interested in something like this.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in this. I don't even know how to respond. It's the only way for me to describe this is when you're a heterosexual man and you're called gay. The more you fight it, the more gay you are. Like, I've never been insulted when people call me gay. And whether or not I'm gay or not, I don't understand how someone else identifies. It's identical to being like, yo, bro, you're straight. I'd be like, okay, or no, I'm not straight. I'm not really sure how. Like, one is that you like humans that are opposite sex of you, and the other one's you like humans of the same sex as you.
Yeah.
But it's still humans liking humans. It's not like we're talking about murder, like, yo, man, you kill only white guys or something like that. You're talking about love. We're talking about a human that loves another human being. We're not talking about hate.
No.
And so to me, being called gay is the same thing as being called straight. So to me, I'm like, okay, I guess, whatever. I'm not really sure if this is a conversation or an insult, but like, I'm not insulted by it.
Speak very honestly and logically about this subject, and people get very tongue-tied about it.
Well, I mean, we're talking about a subject matter that has caused, has been publicly announced as the cause for 100% of school shootings, both bullying and sexual identity. There's no possible way for a human being to exist without identifying the core root of both their fear and reality. And for me, my biggest fear is my boys being hurt. Why would I ever contribute to anything that has to do with that? I would never. And that's where you lose me. Is there is like reality of a guy that you've known for a quarter of a century, and then there is just sheer insanity which is being pumped into the masses. And if you choose to ignore it or support it, it's just as bad. I promise you this. We don't live in a society of lies, meaning that it's impossible to refute what I'm saying. My goal was to look as unbelievable as possible because it's impossible to lie in a digital world. It's literally impossible. Like, what you think is happening cannot possibly happen. It's impossible. There would need to be evidence. And that's where I just was like saving and saying like, look, you put yourself in a horrible position if this was chess. If this was a war, you'd be long lost a long time ago. But this is a civilized society, and in a civilized society, you should be able to communicate. Not through channels that are igniting a fuel of rage, but through normal means of communication that have led to the birth and raising of two beautiful boys. That's what my point is.
Yeah.
My name is Daniel Henrices, and my time is almost up. Miss Jamie Resnick, do you have anything you want to add?
No, but thank you so much for being there and standing up for all of us. That's really appreciated.
You see, no matter the size of the horse, I never had an option to get off. Peace. I love you guys.